to cancel culture, hookup culture, or victim culture?
Well, neither could we. We created this platform for those other girls. Girls like us who want to give a different perspective from a Christian and conservative worldview.
We talk about life, work, relationships, pop culture, and everything in between. So let's be those other girls that just don't talk about culture,
but change culture.
You are listening to an Other Girl segment called Dear Other Girl, where we give all our advice, except this time it's actually solicited. So, if you haven't been paying attention, you might have not noticed that we do not have a TCAP out this week. Unfortunately, Mallory was having a splitting headache, and it's Thursday right now, late at night, and I'm finally getting this out, so it's been a really crazy week. So thank you all for bearing with us, and Mallory, we're hoping for a safe return soon so that we can talk about everything that's been happening. But during this little segment, we actually are going to talk about something that a lot of us are talking about right now. We're not going to go too much in detail because I really want Mallory here for that. But our question for this week, Dear Other Girl, I've been hearing so much about the terrible Hamas situation in the Middle East. A lot of my friends are posting in support of Palestine. How can I make sense of this while also staying friends with them? First of all, I think this is a really great question. I think this is something that's on a lot of our minds right now. I really am not any kind of an expert on this, and I think it's important that whoever you are, you are also making it clear you're not an expert. If your friend is an expert, I think you should listen to what they're saying, because I'm sure, just like any argument, any debate, there are two sides of the coin. Unfortunately, the only side I'm seeing right now is the beheaded children side. So it's really hard for me to have sympathy with an opposition, especially when it's against a group that has such a significance in Christianity. You know, I think if it weren't for the Jewish population, none of us would be practicing Christians. Jesus was a Jew. So I think this hits home in a lot of ways for Christians, definitely not like it hits home for, the Jewish community right now, which, side note, I was reminded today, we absolutely should be reaching out to our Jewish friends. And I guess for that matter, be reaching out to anybody that you know that might be living in the Middle East, might have ties to the Middle East. Again, I do not know what I'm talking about. All I'm doing is consuming the same media that you are. I haven't done my research on this. But like I said, it does hit home. And I think that as long as we can approach this with a kind, loving heart and a heart that wants to understand how this could happen, I think that's the first step. Because if your friend has no remorse for what happened, it's going to be really hard for you probably to communicate with them. As a pro-lifer, I'm not going to say, when a woman is raped, too bad, whatever, and overlook that trauma, even if I do feel like I have merit. As an apologist, I'm gonna try to connect with the person I'm in front of and share their heartbreak and their concern and their stress and their anxiety for the situation. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I think that we really need to be thoughtful about how we're approaching such sensitive subjects with such an emotional, height. This is a very emotional issue. This is a very emotional, emotions are really high right now. So I really hope that your friend is able to see, at very least, that what's happening right now is not acceptable. I think from there, you can absolutely engage in a really good conversation about what happened that got us here. How can we avoid this in the future? How can we, as people of different faiths, maybe different backgrounds, how can we come together and protect civilians from something like this? The reason that I'm frustrated with the pro-Palestinian posts is it's nothing is this shouldn't have happened. I mean, it feels very much like it's in support of these attacks. And I know that if it were me And my party was being viewed as one that doesn't care about families, women, the rape of women, the beheading of women, the beheading of children, the absolute assault of humanity. I would want to make that clear. I would want to set the record straight that my party does not, or at least not a party that I'm part of, it does not find that acceptable. So I'm assuming that the listener is probably pro-life. So I'm kind of trying to equate this to like debating the issue of abortion. You can have a respectful debate, and I definitely don't think this is something that you should lose your friend over. But I do think that like we have a responsibility to protect the innocent. I mean, as Christians, we absolutely have an opportunity every day to stand up for the innocent. And I saw this one post that said like, I'm not an expert on this, but I stand with the innocent. And I think that's a really great way of putting it. Acknowledge that if your friend has more insight than you, like maybe you need to do your research. Doesn't mean that what happened was acceptable. Does not mean that, this isn't also an attack on America. But it might mean that they have something to say. Again, maybe they don't. Maybe there is no excuse. I don't know. I have not done the research. So that's for you to figure out. That's for you to, I'm not going to give you all the answers. Number one, because I don't know them. And number two, because I want you to have a good conversation with your friend about this. I really hope that you guys are able to come to an understanding. And I hope that, Mallory and I, during the next couple days, this weekend, we can point you to some really good research and maybe some more helpful content. But all I can say is that I really hope you can find common ground with that friend. Whenever we're debating, whenever we're trying to better understand one another, common ground is really important. So invite your friend into mourning the loss of these dozens of individuals. It might even be far more than that at this point. I really don't know. I know it's been the biggest anti-Semitic attack since the Holocaust. That's quite something. There's no religion that is under attack like the Jewish religion. I mean, and there's really no reason for it. I have yet to find a reason that people hate Jewish people so much. But I'd be interested to learn like what I'm missing. So I hope that you're interested to learn too, and I hope that you'll turn your heart to a desire to understand, a desire to connect, and a desire to just stay at peace. But if your friend does defend these acts, that should tell you something. But I really don't think they're going to. I really think they're going to agree with you on this one, at least that what happened was unacceptable. So best of luck to you, and for all those listening, keep doing your research because this is personal for Christians. This is personal for America, just like Nikki Haley said. And it's something that we need to be more educated on. And I'm sorry I don't have the answers for you. I'm sorry that I haven't done my research, even though I'm telling you all to go do your research. But hopefully Mallory and I will have something to say. We did make a statement if you want to go back and look at our Instagram. But until then, bye, other girls.